Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. So I'm actually recording the second half of this video the next morning. Some things came up and I wasn't able to finish. So we actually have the benefit of hindsight, seeing what Bitcoin did overnight. We're still basically trading sideways at the same levels we were when the markets closed yesterday. But let's just do this quick review on the mining stocks. Mara's actually traded down, and interestingly enough is Riot is the one that's choosing to buck the trend and go in the opposite direction. Not by a whole lot, but we do have this little deflection going on. But mainly I want to focus on the long-term trends that we're witnessing here. Mara has been probably one of the most well-performing of the mining stocks this last little while, at least more consistently. This morning it got rejected by the exact same level that we reached the last attempt that we had to reach the all-time highs. I don't think that this is going to last long, so this is a pretty good buying opportunity in my opinion. Not financial advice, but I don't see a whole lot of weakness showing on the Bitcoin charts. Like I said, we are moving sideways, but since we've broken through this downtrend line and are now just playing around at this collar, we spent a long time trading in this range. So I'm not surprised that it's taking a breather, but it's certainly not showing any signs of reversing. And overall, as I mentioned before, Riot has been just struggling. Despite its slight inflection and slight rise this morning against some of the other stocks, that capital raise has been putting a lot of pressure down on this. But I did have a look into this and tried to determine what are the odds that this capital raise could at least be near complete. And as a reference, I went back to some of my old research to see what was happening the last time these stocks were undergoing these kinds of at-the-market capital raises. In the case of Mara, their capital raise was done near the end of 2020 during December. And it was actually during this period right here. Now, it actually didn't last that long, but there was a whole lot of volume in these stocks back at that time, a whole lot of excitement, but it didn't make it any easier to live through it because at that time Bitcoin was rising and we were falling. It sucked. But nevertheless, as I was checking, it was January 4th at the close of the market that Mara announced they had completed their capital raise. And the next day saw a massive increase. Mara went from approximately $10.60 all the way to a close of $13.44. That was like a 30% move in one day. And as you can see, it didn't slow down. By the end of that week, it had gone up nearly 200%. So yeah, they can move fast. Now, mind you, this was at a time when Bitcoin had just broken through its all-time high and was tearing into uncharted territory. So the question is, what if something like that could happen again? It does make the value proposition for stocks like Riot and some other ones that have been suffering as a result of these capital raises very intriguing. There's just no way of really knowing when this pain is over. But like I said, I did do some math on Riot in particular, and based on the overall trading volume since this capital raise was announced, if it's possible that the selling pressure as a result of this at-the-market offering could account for about 8% of the overall trading volume, then that would be enough for them to have acquired the entire $600 million that they were after. But of course, we can't know that. So we don't know how much longer this could go on for. We can't know if it's 8% or 3%. So you could make the choice to front run this thing and make sure that you're in before that announcement gets made, assuming they do announce it. I would imagine they will. But of course, you'd have to be willing to sit back and wait while you potentially have to watch other stocks move without you. Such has been the nature of investing in mining stocks from the beginning. They don't move together. Sometimes they move in opposite directions, and they certainly don't move by the same amounts. It can make it rather frustrating at times and difficult to cope with, to be honest. But the results are undeniable. So there's still a great amount of value in investing in these stocks. And this is where a lot of the institutions choose to get their exposure to Bitcoin, because it's a whole lot easier to invest in these companies. One of the other exciting stocks to follow has been stocks like Any. I'm personally not invested in these ones. They've basically reached meme stock status, and I've never invested in any of these meme stocks. They're fun to watch, but it's hard to really get behind these kinds of things when they make moves like this during a time like this, looking for long-term value positions. I have enough stress I'm trying to deal with. I don't really need to add that to the mix, but they certainly are fun to watch with incredible moves. And that's one of the problems I have with them, is they don't move by any rational means. They don't move with Bitcoin. They don't move with announcements. It's basically a battleground for day traders. And I have a hard time getting in the middle of that. I know that Any in particular, they've got their merger announcement coming up soon. And we all saw what happened with the support.com to Gree stock fiasco. I unfortunately had the pleasure of experiencing that firsthand, but I'm not in a rush to go out there and experience it again. Could be wrong, but nonetheless, it is something I like following. Bit Digital is one I've always had some critical things to say about. It's had some impressive moves from time to time, but we are still dealing with a stock that is recovering from its exodus out of China. They did receive institutional investment, which has certainly helped their cash on hand position. So they've definitely got an opportunity here, but they've got a lot of catching up to do. That impressive hash rate that they started out with is less impressive today, and they haven't really made any progress to expanding that. And if they are going to, they're going to need to raise a whole lot more money. So keep that in mind. But I mean, having said all of that, we are still dealing with a company with a valuation below $600 million. HUT has been another very good performer, similar to Mara in this case. Very, very close to breaking out and testing for new all-time highs itself. Lately, they seem to have been making all the right moves and have attracted the attention of a lot of institutional investors, certainly with the help of Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, who has endorsed this stock. HUT made the move and has started actually mining Ethereum, which I found quite fascinating. And fortunately for them, it looks like mining on Ethereum will go on a little longer, at least until May of next year, it would seem. Now, some people may be wondering, like HUT, and not just HUT, but also Hive, who mines a lot of Ethereum, what's going to happen to them once Ethereum mining goes away? And it is true that there is plenty of other coins out there to mine. I mean, the whole point of having GPUs is that you can mine multiple different coins. They're not specific to one coin like an ASIC would be. Interestingly enough, all the ASIC miners that were developed for Ethereum will not be compatible with any other coin out there. Ethereum is the only project out there using the ETH hash algorithm. Even Ethereum Classic forked away from that algorithm to make sure that all those ASICs on Ethereum wouldn't be able to come back to them. They've dedicated themselves to making sure they remain ASIC resistant. And many of the other coins out there have also adopted that policy. But there's still lots of GPU power currently on Ethereum that will need to find a new home. And things will get very interesting when that happens. Maybe I'll do another video specifically about that topic, because there's a lot of intricacies in that most people, I don't think, fully understand. But the point is that we've heard from Frank Holmes at Hive that there's more things that could be done with all of that GPU power than just mine Ethereum. With all the machine learning and things that are happening now, farming out that processing to facilities that already have these massive quantities of GPUs is another way that they could use to earn income, which plays into Hut's entire thesis, because that could potentially pay even more than mining a coin like Ethereum. But it might not guarantee 100% uptime. So the point is that they will have options. There are going to be, who knows what else will be developed, or how much further demand we might see for these machine learning systems. As time goes on and as that technology begins to seek out more of that power, there could be an opportunity for another technology to develop and somehow make it easy for companies that require that processing power to utilize this through some other blockchain technology. I'm just spitballing here, but something like that is conceivable. So it's not something that anyone really needs to be overly concerned about, that they're just throwing money away on equipment that they won't be able to use once mining goes away on Ethereum. There's plenty of other opportunities that could come of this. And as usual, Bitfarm is also struggling to maintain itself above $5. It's probably got a little longer than Riot, simply due to the fact that it just doesn't get as much trading volume. And they're also trying to raise $500 million. But what's good about Bitfarm is they have some rather aggressive expansion plans. And this is very, very good. They already have very good use for that money. So I'm very excited to see what a company like this with a market capitalization still under $1 billion is going to be capable of. I think they're extremely well positioned to make some very big moves. It just might take a little longer than you would hope. And then, of course, we have Argo Blockchain, which I covered not long ago, and things are not looking any better for them at this time. And just like many of the others, trying to time when this thing will finally start to move is going to be rather difficult. But certainly if someone was looking to enter into this position, this is about as good a time as any, especially if you're dollar cost averaging. It's hard to hold on to these things during times like these, but it's amazing how quickly that pain becomes a distant memory once things finally start to turn. But again, I must caution against trying to catch the one that's going to move first. Because between all of these things, I've never been able to do that. The one that moves first has always caught me off guard. I've never been able to anticipate any of them. So do yourself a favor and don't go down that road. Just pick a position and hold on for dear life. And I didn't show the chart of Hive, even though I talked about it, but it's a similar one. Also, underperforming, waiting to see what's going to happen next. But if you're in any of these stagnated stocks, it's my opinion that you're better off just to sit tight. Because it's happened to me countless times where you're sitting in there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you finally give up and switch to something else out of frustration, only to see this thing skyrocket without you. It's almost as if somebody's watching you. It reminds me of that meme from Bitcoin with the trader that picks all the wrong times to buy and sell because people are watching what he's doing and when he's doing it and forcing the market in the opposite direction. I can see how it feels like that sometimes. So just take a broader step back and sit tight. You're never going to make the perfect decision, but it's my opinion that so long as your time horizon is long enough, you'll perform just fine. And part of that has to do with managing your expectations. You can't always just expect things to just double within months after investing in it. It takes time. Generally speaking, for most investing out there, for something to double in price, you've got to give it years, not months or weeks. But that's how these things move. So you have to take the good with the bad. Well, that's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.